Hi, I'm Regina. I'm your host. This is Corks and Convo, where we dive into real life conversations. Along with my co hosts, Tiffany and Shadon, this season we'll be talking about real life conversations. So, whether you're 20 or whether you're 80, grab your earpods and a glass of wine. Today's conversation, we're going to be talking about menopause, something women over 40 and sometimes younger deal with. Today, we're joined with nurse practitioner Keyonia Johnson. She'll be clarifying a lot of questions that we may have. So, today, ladies, let's get started. Questions? Anybody want to start, or should I start? I guess I'm starting. All right.
Got
All right, I'm starting. All right, let's just start from the beginning. Kiana, can you tell us the proper definition of perimenopause?
Perimenopause is, and thank you for allowing me to join, ladies. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
Uh,
you.
Perimenopause is in layman's terms, the time, the years before you do not have a period at all. Perimenopause, the same thing as perimenopause, and it's sometimes it starts as early as 30. Sometimes it starts as late as 50. It just
Mhm.
depends. But we have some people who are still in their mid 50s having periods. But perimenopause is a time before you do not have a period. And menopause is defined as no period for 12 months.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you miss your period, you're 49 and no period for 6 months.
I have a girlfriend. She would go 11 months with no cycle. And then on month 12, she would have one. Do you know how mad she would be?
I bet. I'm
She
sure.
would be so
Mm.
mad. So let's talk about, well, before we do that, let me go back because we got somebody on this panel who, let's talk about the ages, because you said some people go through it early, some people can go through it late. But I know one person on this panel who went through full-fledged menopause in their 30s. Why do you think that is?
29.
29.
Well, sometimes
29.
folks have, you know, different chromosome abnormalities in which they go through
Mhm.
menopause early. So that could be some type of genetic disposition or disorder that caused the 20 situation.
Wow.
So that is not a normal scenario there. Not at all. Mm-mm.
So I really want to talk
I
about
see.
some of the symptoms that the women have, and I'm gonna knock on wood because I am well into my 50s and I don't have it, and I thank you God. Let me knock on wood and do all the crosses because I don't want it. I don't want any of this. So a lot of my girlfriends walk around with fans everywhere because they having hot flashes. And so that's a common symptom, right?
Oh yes, for sure. The hot flashes are, they come when your estrogen or progesterone levels drop. So you don't have enough hormone, in your body. Your body temperature gets regulated.
And how long you supposed to be having hot flashes?
I got
Mm.
patients that are having them and well into their 80s.
No, ma'am. I rebuke that in the
Uh
name of Jesus. No, ma'am. Mm-mm.
huh.
We will
Mm.
not be doing that.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and
Mm.
then
Uh-huh.
another symptom I've heard is vaginal dryness.
Yes, they call that vaginal atrophy. That means you don't have enough estrogen or progesterone in your system to get those walls the way they should, lubricated enough. So
Mhm.
that's one of the symptoms of,
Mm-hmm.
losing estrogen during that perimenopausal, menopausal phase. So you do experience, some people experience more yeast infections, more UTIs, and painful sex.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
so is the insomnia
Mm.
perimenopause or menopause?
Usually both, because it's just
Really?
still just a drop of estrogen. So you're losing. So, if you were to go to your primary care or OBGYN or GYN, They would check your estradiol and follicle stimulating hormones, all these different hormones to see these levels actually can tell whether you're in menopause or not.
Hmm.
They give you a level and see
Mm-hmm.
where you are. But yeah, all of those are symptoms: insomnia, joint pain, hot flash, or coldness. Because some folks get cold. You know, you get hot, cold, hot, cold. That's that temperature hormonal imbalance. Mm-hmm.
And then I they have anxiety or depression,
Yes, that'll happen
Mhm.
too. Yep.
and then the weight gain. Is
Yeah.
that
I was going to
so?
ask about
I
that.
think I'm confused because are you saying that all of the symptoms can happen in either stage, perimenopause or menopause? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but it's more, yes, it can be either stage, but it also more so in menopause, you notice more of the difference. And
Hmm.
sometimes people have absolutely no symptoms and go through having no period gracefully, have absolutely no symptoms. It just depends on the person.
I'm
Hmm.
jealous. Yeah. So I want to talk about being misdiagnosed. So, okay, first of all, let me just a transparent moment. So, I have went to my doctor and got blood work, and she swear I'm not in menopause. I'm in perimenopause. She swear I'm not. So it's been 3 years. We've been doing it for the last 3 years. I'm well into my 50s, and she swear I'm not. But I have experienced weight gain. I felt like I experienced the insomnia, and these are two things that I have also experienced, but I didn't realize they are attributed to perimenopause or menopause. So during the pandemic, I called myself exercising, right? So I thought I hurt my shoulder exercising. I'm getting CAT scans with dye in it, all of this kind of stuff. Then and I was doing this therapy for a long time, like for months. Come to find out, I read something months later to say that this is a symptom of menopause or perimenopause. Okay,
Hmm.
that's one thing. Then another time, maybe a year or two later, I'm having heart palpitations, going to a cardiologist, doing all these tests for well over a year. This
Hmm.
doctor, I mean, he stress tested me, he doing all these things, and then finally he just tell me, have you had a life altering or life changing, something major change in your life? And I was like, yeah, I had went through a bad breakup or whatever, but it was like maybe a year or two prior. And he was like, you got a broken heart syndrome. Just what the doctor told me. Like, I'm like, and then I read about it, that's a symptom too. So I'm like, why these doctors don't
Hmm.
know this?
Yes, absolutely. You are absolutely right. With menopause, it's a lot of changes, you see. Unfortunately, menopause the closer you get to menopause, it can cause you are at risk for more cardiovascular issues because of
Hmm.
the estrogen level decreases. Um, and with the fatigue and you don't feel like walking or exercising, you have these different cravings.
You want more
You
wine.
do. Yes. So, that's where you just have to get into
But
that,
why
go to a
the doctors don't
specialist.
know that? Like, what I went to the cardiologist. Why they didn't think of that? They stress tested me and doing all, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't even think that that was an option. That never came up with all of the tests they was putting me through.
They have to for liability purposes. When
That's
you
so
say,
crazy.
yeah, you have to. So, for example, most women, they don't even have chest pain with heart attacks. For example, my mother had a heart attack and never had chest pain. She never had chest. She had shoulder pain.
Yeah.
So they have to do that for liability purposes because you just never know. And women don't present typically with the same, typical ordinary symptoms of cardiovascular issues as men. So
Hmm.
they had to just to rule it out, just to make sure you didn't have any heart
I was
issues.
just so upset because I was going to this cardiologist for a long time, like maybe a period of 6 months, and that never even was an option. But anyway, and so it's just, and like the joint pain, like nobody ever said anything with my shoulder. I'm doing it. CT scans, getting died injected it. I'm just upset with these doctors. That's why you have to advocate for yourself and you have to research and do the things because you really have to be an advocate for your own self. But even also vertigo and being dizzy, like it's a lot of things. I remember one day, maybe I don't know, maybe about 6 months ago, I remember telling my sister, I just don't feel as clear headed as I usually am. Like I'm a pretty sharp girl. I'm pretty sharp. And I just didn't feel clear. And she just didn't get it. And she was
It's
just
a
like,
brain fog.
it's the brain fog. And she was just like, oh, maybe you're tired. Maybe you need a vacation. And it was the brain fog. And I was just like, this is why you have to know yourself.
Know your body.
You
Yeah.
have to know your body. So
Mhm.
I don't know. So
I
as a
thought brain fog was a symptom of menopause.
It is, but I didn't know that. But as I started just trying to research some things,
Mm-hmm.
I came across it. But so as you when you get patients to come in and they're of a particular age and they're feeling a little off, what are some of the things that you recommend?
Usually, you have to rule out the other organic issues that could be going on. Could be B12 deficiency, thyroid problems. So you rule out everything first.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that they don't have a brain tumor,
Mhm.
cancer. You have to rule out the bad stuff first, and then you go to another level. It's like a protocol. Whenever any patient comes in, you go through that routine protocol first.
Mm-hmm.
And you just keep digging and digging. The brain fog, if someone came in there, oh, I'm having some confusion, of course you ask how long. But we want to make sure they're not dying, that had a stroke, brain tumor. That's the first thing you really
Mhm.
check, to be honest with you. And if those are negative, then you go to, well, are you having any hot flashes? And we go to the hormonal side of it.
So
I have a question.
mhm.
I have a question. I wonder, does men go through any of this? Because I remember my mom saying that my dad had similar symptoms. So like he said she kept the house cold as a meat rack, but then she was like, he acts like a nervous Nancy. Like he's funny about stuff in the house. So do men experience any of these symptoms or similar type things that they go through from a testosterone perspective?
Absolutely, yes. With the testosterone deficiency, most men are fatigued. They're tired. Mostly when men are tired, a little catty, kind of irritable ish. Because they don't have that man hormone, so they start acting all whiny and tired, kind of sluggish.
Mm-hmm.
That type thing. But yes, that is one of the things we check as well. And what goes along with that is erectile dysfunction. So we
Mm.
know, okay, when a guy comes in or a man comes in and we ask about the fatigue. Well, you ever have any problems in the bedroom? Getting up 100 times a night, then we know to
Mhm.
lean toward that testosterone way. But yes, usually when men are experiencing that, it's accompanying with the erectile issues.
Okay. Thank you.
So back to the menopause, perimenopause thing. So I know there are some hormone replacement therapies. Are there any that you recommend? I know a lot of Black women kind of are taboo about it. Are there any that you recommend?
I don't I don't have a particular hormone replacement therapy is very tricky. It just depends on the family history of breast cancer or
That's
strokes. You just have to really, and then too, some patients don't know. It's a
mm,
huge liability to go
mm,
that route. So I'm a family nurse practitioner. So what I do is I ask all the hard questions. Have you ever had a blood clot? Because that's one of the side effects of hormone replacement therapy. Have
Mm,
you have anybody in your family, a first degree relative or yourself, have ever had breast cancer? Because a lot of breast cancers are hormone driven. So if you have an estrogen causing breast cancer and we're giving you estrogen, you're at risk for getting breast cancer again or having breast
Yeah.
cancer. So it's very tricky. So what I do as a healthcare professional, I ask all the questions and I send you to the specialist. I
Mm-hmm.
send you to a in Colombia they actually have a urogynecologist. She specializes in gynecology and urology, and she specializes in different hormone replacement therapies or natural therapies. I usually send them to their GYN because it's a lot of GYNs that do not do OB. They only
Mm-hmm.
specialize in hormone replacement or postmenopausal issues or just pap smears once a year. So yes, and a lot of GYNs are weary about starting them. So it's tricky. It's a open ended question, but me personally, you got
Mm-hmm.
that. It's all
Wait a
uh
minute. What? Are you
oh.
there?
I apologize. I was ringing while the conversation. It's always that one person who you just don't know their history and you don't want to take that chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first go to is, over the counter black cohosh, estrogen over the
Mm-hmm.
counter,
Mm-hmm.
black girl
Yeah.
vitamin, Minochill. I actually use Minochill
That's what I
myself and I
say.
love it.
That's what I say. I
Minochill is
love
like
it.
a godsend. I mean, that stuff
Yes, I
works. You hear
love it.
me? It really works.
You take
Minochill is
three,
it.
Kiana? Do you take
I
three?
actually only take one. I only take one
Oh,
and it works. I can imagine if
I
I take
love it.
three.
And so, what were your symptoms that made you take it?
I had a hysterectomy 2 years ago.
A
So
full or partial?
I have one ovary left. So I was still having regular periods at 50. I'll be 52 this year. So, but I had some GYN issues. I had some, obviously I didn't know, but I had endometriosis and, did different
Mm,
uterus, different things, really heavy periods. And they wanted to do one years
mm-hmm.
ago, but I finally decided to go forward. And after that, I was doing fine until about 6 months out. And I just started the hot flashes at night. I was drenched at night. I
Mm,
was a little bit more irritable and I tolerated it because the ashwagandha helped me at night. So I was
yeah.
using the
Yep.
ashwagandha at night and it really helped a lot. And but I started seeing advertisements for Menochill because I started not
Yes.
sleeping. I would function on 3 hours. Like I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
go to sleep. And I
Yes.
didn't want it I'm not a person that takes a lot of medicine. I try not to unless I
Mm-hmm.
really have to.
Mm-hmm.
So I found out about Menochill and I'm gonna tell you what, it is a godsend. It is wonderful. That's some good stuff,
And
y'all.
if you have PCOS, they make a PCOS one too. That's awesome. Like I love
Oh
that
my God, I
stuff.
got no more.
Yeah, Minochill is awesome. It really is. It really is. It really makes a difference. And I notice when I don't take it.
Yep.
I notice when I do not take it, but it's been very helpful. But I'm gonna tell you what, that estrogen, if you are medically able to take a hormone replacement, it works
Mm-hmm.
miracles for people. When I tell you it changes their lives when they get on them doggone hormones. When I got the
Mm.
worst patient, the patient that is depressed or having every symptom you all just named, once their doctor puts them on that, they're like a new person.
On the hormone
Mm.
replacement.
Yes,
No.
yes, they're like a new person. They really do work, but again, they come with risks. You just have to really weigh your pros and cons and
Right.
say, is the risk worth it for me?
Mm-hmm.
And one patient actually their GYN took them off, but that lady was having so many issues, brain fog and
Mm.
bone pain. I put her back on it and it changed her. She was like, I rather deal with the consequences than feel like I felt. And she got back
Mm-hmm.
on the therapy, but it changed her life. She felt so much better.
Mm-hmm. It's a you got to find the combination that works for you. I guess that's what you're saying, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
slippery slope. But I know quite a few women, whatever this patch is, they swear by this patch. Um, and it works for them. Like you said, you got to find what works for you. I don't know. Um, I I I thank God. Let me knock on wood again. I'm not doing any of the things, so I'm happy about that.
That they're probably talking about the estrogen patch. It is an estradiol patch, and most
Mm-hmm.
people
Mm-hmm.
do swear by that one though. But
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I'm not a big fan, and I'm speaking personally. I just don't want to. Because it's just always the unknown, the fine print,
Yeah.
and you don't want to be that 2%. I don't want to be that 2%,
No.
that, I did take this or this did happen and I was on hormones. So, I just don't want to. And that's just me. I'd rather try everything I can before I go there to be,
for sure.
So what do you think? I mean, how do you know when you should go from natural to that? Like when when you think you've tried everything and you have to maybe take the patch or the hormone replacement.
I've had people who, the sweating, most people who give in are the folks who like, they just pour and sweat all day, just sweating in the clothes, just it's uncomfortable and it messes with their daily life.
Okay.
I think that's where you just say, okay, fine, I'll go for it. And I think I'll be at that point. If it does interfere with my daily life, like, look, I'm gonna go ahead and take this medicine. I can't take it anymore. But I guess it's an individual decision. My biggest issue was the insomnia, and I was the hot flashes. So I just wanted to make sure. And again, ashwagandha helped, but it didn't do this like that mental chill. That's some good stuff right there.
Yes.
So the mental chill helps with the insomnia or the hot flashes.
Yeah, but all of it. It really helped me.
So I don't have hot flashes, but I don't feel like I sleep as well as I should.
That insomnia, it knocked it out for me. I go to bed now like 9. I was there for 2 and 3 days, like fully functioning too, like I got an 8-hour rest.
Yeah, you're right. I would say I can be up all. You're right. I could function in about 2 hours. It was crazy.
Yeah, I would just get to cleaning and get to doing all kind of nesting activities around here and just crazy. But that mental chill, I got it on reoccurring. It come every month in the mail.
Oh my goodness. I might try to get some.
I most definitely don't. I have the insomnia. Let's start with my story so I think I was misdiagnosed to go through menopause. I just kind of gave up hormone replacement. So I had my son at 19, and at that time I really wasn't on birth control and things like that. And so doctors gave me what did you shot? I can't even think of it. The Depo-Provera. And so the Depo-Provera completely took my period away. And so once I noticed that it wasn't like I was gaining weight, it was like I was swollen, like it was like water retention. And so the doctor was like, okay, you can come off of it. Once I came off of it, my period didn't come. So they started working on it. Because I was on it probably like maybe, let's say 5 or 6 years. And so in between like 29 and they completely said I was, I went ahead and said, let's do menopause. They put me on Provera to bring the period back on. And the Provera did not work. So we did that for a little bit because, like it's, they want you to take some time to let the medicine in your system and see if it works or whatever. The Provera did not work for me. So we did that for a couple of years. And so I just went in and was like, hey, girl, like, I want you to just go ahead and say I'm menopause. Like, we've already checked the levels. We had checked all of those things. I went to, several specialists and things like that. So at that moment, they gave me, which worked for at least 6 or 7 years. So I was on something called the Convo patch. And like I was on there. So, reading things and being afraid of saying, like the rumors and things like that of cancer. And like my mom's sister had breast cancer. So I was like, I just don't want to flip you over. You're saying, oh, sorry, it's nothing I can do. I was like, listen, I want this. It's for one thing, it was really expensive because it wasn't, it was FDA approved, I think. But I think at that age, like, depending on how much money I made and things like that, the medication was just really, really, really expensive at this. So, and I had got to a point like it just, it helped me, get through like, just the symptoms at that age because I was young and still, running around and want to do things or whatever. But I finally got it because I kept saying, I just don't want the risk of the cancer. So I just started the symptoms. And I am a person who have and had every last one of them. The dry vagina, the insomnia. I still suffer with insomnia. I had the hot flash. I had the thinning of the hair. Because like you guys, my hair always thick and long, like that. So the thinning of the hair, like the nails, the dry skin. It just sometimes feels like my whole entire body just could dry out. If not, like lubricating, just put lotion, like Vaseline. I scoop it, put the Vaseline on just to make sure I'm still, moist or whatever. But I tried different things at this moment. Like I'm doing a lot of like gummies and things like that. Just, bringing up my vitamin D and all those other things that kind of help along the way. But I did not want to do hormone replacement. Absolutely not. Not anymore. I did it when I was young, but I'm older and it's just not. But the weight gain, I was always really small, but the weight gain came like all of the symptoms that have happened. It just like dropped. I used to have heart palpitations. Like I would take like Motrin in the middle. I can always tell how you say when like, how sometimes people say, oh, my menopause is acting up or something. I had that. I still sometimes work around like the brain fog, with work and things like that, and just remembering what it is that I'm doing, those type of things. I still have all of those things. Remembering is horrible. Like I was thinking I was going to go get tested for dementia. Like I was like, I'm thinking I'm real old, but it was just, like how you say those little symptoms that you don't take. Like sometimes I just be laying on my arm, like my God, is nothing. Like is it a little card or something? So like it's just some of those things that come up, and every last one of them I've had worked through, thank God, but I've had them all, and it's been a long journey.
Wow.
But I was having a good time. No, sorry. I was having a real good time.
If you could have changed any of your decisions, would you have still did the depot?
So if I could tell myself, my younger self, I would say no.
Yeah.
I was really, really young when I had my son, and like inexperience. My mom wasn't here, and she was always against birth control. Like my grandmother would be rolling over. She don't believe in all of that. But the hospital told me, how like it's true, because you're fertile and be pregnant again and again and again and again. So I went with it, and I was at Columbia Hospital at the time. So and I just went to the Betty Ford and got the depot for it because they were talking to me about it, and things like that. And I was young. I'm walking around with a baby on my hip, so I knew I didn't want another one at that moment.
Right.
So being inexperienced, I would say, and not even young. I like not reading up and taking the time to read what people are offering you or for you to take.
Yeah.
Well, when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. Because I believe that I wrote a long letter because I don't know what it was. I think our kids was probably I know they was playing football, and I wrote a really long letter to Oprah Winfrey because they did a special on it one time. And the lady had called me back, but it just didn't go any further because once I got a little older, and I'm like, I think I'm misdiagnosed somewhere. Like, and you find her, like I was going to the doctors and like, yeah, girl, when you find this period, find it. And I really believe, like how you say in the middle of the night when you can't sleep and you hear, hey, in 1990, you was taking Depo-Provera, call 1-800 so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I had the brain tumor.
Mm-hmm. It messed a lot of people up. Depo messed a lot of people up. It messed my sister up. My sister had a Coke bottle shape. As soon as she had my niece and took it, it blew her up. She turned into like her whole everything changed. Then she had all kinds of issues also, and she's experiencing a lot of the things you mentioned, Shadon, right now. So I know it was some stuff in that shot that was just not good for us.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I hear that commercial, I think of you. I know I send you stuff every time I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Like every last one of them. And I just, been working through it, like, I try not to, I do a lot of over the counter, a lot of water. I even said, like cutting out like some of the meats and, things like that, just the red meat, the pork. Like I just tried to do a lot of things that was natural. I do have, a OBGYN, urologist at GW. That's awesome because it also, like weakened my bladder. Like what you said, read about the bone, like the bone density test, that kind of helps and see where your bones are. All of those things.
Yeah.
Same thing with the mammogram. I'm doing that a lot often because I was on that, medication just to make sure like it's not, I say to the doctor, as soon as I come in, I'd be like, hey, now I'm legally deaf. Had menopause since 29, but God has me still here. So I just come right in just with all of it. I've already been there, done it, and got the t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
But God is good. Like you said, you still here, kicking.
Still here.
Still here. But again, that's my point. Like we have to really learn these things so we can advocate for ourselves. And that's why we're so blessed to have Keyonia be on here today to kind of help walk us through these things. Because one of the questions when I always ask my friends, like, what do you want us to talk about on the podcast? Everybody always says talk about menopause. So that's why we talked about this subject. And we thank you for talking to us
so much
this evening, for clarifying some things, teaching us some things. Definitely me, because baby, I was mad at them doctors. Why y'all ain't know this?
You are my pleasure. My pleasure. Anytime.
Yes. Did you want to have anything you want to leave us with?
Oh, me? Well, just do your research. You're you're your best advocate because you don't have a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of some providers don't take as much time as they should. They just kind of get you in, get you out, answer your questions, and be done with it. Don't sit there and kind of they won't brainstorm with you a lot. So my suggestion is just make sure you do your homework before you go on your visit and write your questions down. No question is stupid for them because most of them have the answer or can get you to the person that has the answer though. And there's several tests. It's 2026. There's so much research out there and so much information, but do your homework, be your best advocate, your own advocate, teach another person, not that you're harping on them like don't do this, don't do that, but just educate them because some kids, like you said, Shaddam, some you just don't know, and they do push birth control, to younger children, like get on Depo, you won't have a period. That's their advertisement, so to speak. So but they don't know the long-term effects because I have several patients who can't, they're infertile because they was on that Depo so long. So I would say you are your best advocate and do your homework. And that's all I have.
I agree.
Okay, Tiff, close us out.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you coming on with us. We just want to thank everybody for joining us here with Corks and Convo. We're going to raise our glasses. I have a bottle of water today, and we're going to just thank everybody for joining us for another Uncorked conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.